Shah Bobo Jan Palace. From Royal Palace to Ethnographic Museum. History is not merely a collection of years and events, it is a living memory that continues to exist through buildings, streets, and the collective memories of a nation. This is Shah Bobo Jan Palace. A historic structure built during the reign of Amir Abdur Rahman Khan. This palace tells a story of power, architecture, culture, and identity, a story that began in the late 19th century and continues to this day.
When Amir Abdur Rahman Khan came to power, he placed special emphasis on modern construction and urban development throughout Afghanistan. The National Archives, the Mausoleum of Amir Abdur Rahman Khan, Baghi Bala Hotel, formerly known as Amir Abdur Rahman Hotel, and Shah Bobo Jan Palace, where we are today, are all among the architectural achievements of his reign.
The year 1880. Afghanistan was passing through one of the most challenging periods in its history. Civil conflicts, regional rivalries, and competition among major world powers had weakened the country's political structure. In this difficult environment, Amir Abdur Rahman Khan came to power. Alongside establishing a centralized government, he placed significant emphasis on the development of state institutions and royal constructions. During this period, Kabul gradually began to take on a new appearance.
When Amir Abdur Rahman Khan assumed power in 1880, the country was facing widespread unrest in different regions, where Amir Abdur Rahman Khan was determined to establish a strong central government. When he established the central government, he believed that Afghanistan also needed social and economic transformation. Following his visits to Europe, Amir Abdur Rahman Khan envisioned building a palace in Afghanistan that would combine European architectural elegance with the country's own traditional architectural heritage. One of the finest examples of this vision is Shah Bobo Jan Palace, where we are now. The palace was built during Amir Abdur Rahman Khan's reign and was presented as a gift to his sister, Bibi Halima, widely known as Shah Bobo Jan.
The palace takes its name from a woman whose life remains little documented, yet whose name has endured in Kabul's historical memory. Shah Bobo Jan, the sister of Amir Abdur Rahman Khan. A woman who held a distinguished position within the royal court. The naming of this palace reflects the significance of her status within the political and social structure of that era.
Originally, the palace stood on approximately 12 acres of land. Over time, however, much of the surrounding property was lost, leaving the complex considerably smaller than its original size. The place has its own unique features. When we look at its rooms as decoration, most of its rooms, including the Grand Hall, are decorated with plant and animal motifs on the ceilings. The ceilings themselves are left exposed and are primarily constructed from juniper wood. which is also used in the staircases, reflecting the craftsmanship characteristic of the era of Amir Abdur Rahman Khan.
چوب ارچه که نماد اعظمی دوره امیر عبدالرحمن خان داره.
The palace also features built-in wall fireplaces, an architectural element that was innovative for its time. Similar designs can still be found in historic buildings across Turkey today. The palace contains 3 wooden staircases and incorporates traditional arches, alcoves, and vaulted designs. It was constructed through the collaboration of Austrian engineers and local craftsmen from Kabul. It's mentionable that, at that time, they tried to use primary construction and industrial materials, which were accessible for them.
The construction of Shah Bobo Jan Palace took place between 1880 and 1901. Its design was prepared by an Austrian engineer, one of the specialists invited by the Afghan royal court to Kabul to design modern buildings. However, the implementation of this vision was carried out by Afghan architects and craftsmen. Master builders from Kabul, Kandahar, and India contributed their skills and experience. A combination of diverse traditions and expertise resulted in the creation of a unique architectural masterpiece. Shah Bobo Jan Palace is neither entirely European nor completely Eastern. Rather, it represents a meeting point between 2 architectural worlds.
The blend of artistic traditions dates back to the Greco-Bactrian civilization. When they came to this region, their artistic styles merged with the indigenous artistic traditions of the Afghan people. And this rich cultural heritage has been passed down from generation to generation. For example, decorative columns and architectural details found in the southern part of the museum reflect the Bactrian Doric style, and these distinctive decorative elements can also be seen in this palace. Therefore, we can say that this palace represents a remarkable fusion of European architecture and Afghanistan's traditional building arts. As European artistic influences entered Afghanistan, they merged with local craftsmanship to create a distinctive architectural style. This unique blend remains clearly visible throughout the palace today.
The 19th century marked the beginning of a new chapter in Afghanistan's architectural history. Architects of this era sought to create a connection between indigenous traditions and emerging international styles. On the southern facade of the palace, 4 rounded columns reflect the influence of classical European architecture. However, alongside these foreign influences, the materials remain entirely local. Sun-dried bricks, fired bricks, plain wood, plaster and lime. Materials that have been used in Afghan architecture for centuries.
The palace consists of 40 rooms spread across 2 floors. It was constructed using bricks, mud, clay, and wood. Most of the wood was sourced from Kunar and Nuristan, where high-quality native Afghan juniper is found. The palace also features distinctive scissor-shaped arches, which are an important example of the traditional craftsmanship of the people of Kabul and can be seen throughout the building.
اتاقها موازی با یکدیگر است که یکی از شیوه‌های مهندسی همون دوره بوده.
The rooms are built parallel to one another, which was one of the engineering methods of that period. This can be considered an authentic artistic and architectural tradition of the people of Afghanistan. In some sections of the corridors, decorative wall niches can be seen, which were designed to enhance the appearance of the building. Another characteristic of the buildings from the era of Amir Abdul Rahman Khan is that there is a garden directly in front of the main entrance, which was one of the distinctive features of the architecture.
مقابل امیر دروازه ورودی یک باغ یا باغچه است که یکی از ویژگی‌هایش است.
The palace was designed so that it receives very little direct sunlight in the morning and at noon. For this reason, a ventilation system was incorporated into the building. If you observe the traditional architecture of Kabul, whether in the old city or other parts of Kabul, almost every building includes ventilation openings. These served two purposes. They provided natural ventilation and prevented dampness and moisture, thereby protecting both the walls and the structure itself.
Entering Shah Bobo Jan Palace is like stepping into a space where the traces of a glorious past still remain. Two grand halls are located on the eastern and western sides of the palace. Long corridors connect different sections of the building. The ceilings are decorated with delicate plasterwork and geometric designs. Wood carvings and golden-colored ornaments reflect the craftsmanship of Kabul's master artisans. Once, magnificent crystal mirrors illuminated the palace halls. These mirrors had been brought to Kabul from India. However, decades of war destroyed many of these historical treasures.
Previously, the Deputy Office for Natural and Technical Sciences of the Academy of Sciences was located here. In 1992, when the Civil War began and the palace suffered extensive damage, the Deputy Office continued to maintain its offices in this building. Later, the palace was reconstructed under the supervision of the Directorate for the Preservation of Historical Monuments and the International Kushan Research Center of the Academy of Sciences. Its historical authenticity has been preserved to a great extent. Even if a historical monument is 40 or 50% damaged, as long as a significant portion remains, its original historical character can still be maintained. The same construction materials that were originally used in the building were also used during the restoration, and today, thankfully, the palace is in good condition. The parts of the palace that were destroyed during the civil conflicts. The upper section of the palace was partially damaged during the factional wars. However, based on the original documentation available for the historical monument and under the supervision of representatives of the Historical Monuments Department and engineers from the Academy of Sciences, the building was reconstructed and put back into use.
In later years, the palace gained a new purpose. The Academy of Sciences of Afghanistan decided to transform this historic building into an ethnographic research museum. This decision gave the palace a new life. From that moment, the building was no longer only a historical monument. It became a center for the preservation and study of Afghanistan's cultural heritage.
In 2002, according to Presidential Decree No. 45 issued by President Hamid Karzai, this site was established as a scientific and research museum. The purpose was to collect and display the tools, clothing, jewelry, and cultural artifacts of the various ethnic groups living in Afghanistan, representing the country's diverse cultures and traditions. The museum was created so that researchers studying Afghanistan's different ethnic communities could examine artifacts from various historical periods and ethnic groups and use them as resources for writing books, research papers, and academic studies.
از اقوام مختلف افغانستان در تحقیق کنند و رسالات کتابات خود بنویسند.
The scholars working here have tried to collect artifacts representing all the ethnic groups and provinces of Afghanistan. However, due to certain challenges, only part of the collection has been completed. The museum currently contains artifacts related to Pashtun, Baloch, Uzbeks, the people of Kabul, and other ethnographic collections. It allows visitors to observe both the similarities and differences among Afghanistan's diverse cultures.
این موزیم اصلا برای تمام علاقمندان باز است. به نام علمی تحقیق است، کسایی میتونه دانشمندان میتونه تحقیق بکنه.
The museum is open to everyone. Although it is primarily a scientific and research institution where scholars conduct studies, tourists, school students, university students, and anyone interested in learning about Afghanistan's culture and historical heritage are welcome to visit. Every year, hundreds of visitors, both domestic and international, come to the museum. It remains open to all those who are interested.
چه داخلی باشد چه خارجی، این موزیم در خدمت تمام علاقمندان است و باز است.
Inside this museum, thousands of cultural artifacts are preserved. Each object tells a part of the story of Afghanistan's people. Traditional clothing, local jewelry, stone and wooden utensils, handicrafts, and tools that were once part of everyday life. This collection reflects the cultural diversity of Afghanistan. From the Hazara communities to the Uzbeks. From the Turkmen to the Nuristanis. From the Tajiks to the Pashtun and Baloch. Each gallery represents a different culture. Yet, alongside these differences, together they create a shared image of Afghanistan's national identity.
اصلا در ابتدا و زمانی که موزیم تأسیس شد یک هیئت متشکل از چند نفر.
When the museum was first established, a committee consisting of representatives from several institutions was formed and sent to different provinces of Afghanistan to collect ethnographic artifacts from the country's various ethnic groups and transfer them to the museum. This work was considered extremely important because it allows the tools, clothing, jewelry, customs, and traditions of the Afghan people to be introduced to the world. The museum was founded on this basis, and today it is considered one of the largest ethnographic museums in Afghanistan.
تأسیس شد که فعلا به شکل یک موزیم اساسی ethnography ما فکر میکنم در سطح افغانستان کلانترین موزیم ethnography در سطح افغانستان است.
البته بگویم که این یک موزیم تحقیقی علمی است بر علاوه
This is primarily a scientific and research museum, but in addition to its research role, members of the public are also welcome to visit freely. Young people who come here become familiar with the cultural heritage of previous generations. Furthermore, the museum helps answer many of the lesser-known aspects of the country's history.
جوابگوی امو زوایای تاریخ کشور خود باشه.
Alongside ethnographic collections, part of the museum is dedicated to Afghanistan's modern and Islamic art. These works demonstrate that culture is not static. Rather, it continuously evolves and is recreated across generations. Today, this museum is not only a place where objects are preserved. It is also a center for research, education, and understanding Afghanistan's past.
در سال 1395 پروفسور امان الله حیدرزاد یکی از استادان اسبق 15 هنرهای زیبای
In 2016, Professor Amanullah Haiderzad, a former professor at the Faculty of Fine Arts of Kabul who was living in the United States, generously donated a number of his artworks to this museum. Fortunately, the donation was completed successfully. As you can see today, several examples of his calligraphy, along with some medals, are displayed in the museum. These works represent contemporary art, and students and university researchers can study them, conduct practical work, and write articles and research papers based on them.
ولی خود میتونه از این بازدید بکنه در مورد از این مقالات و رسالات و میتونه بنویسه.
Islamic calligraphy mainly consists of sacred words and texts, presented in both two-dimensional and three-dimensional forms, the latter often referred to as 3D calligraphy. If you study the history of art, you will find that it dates back to prehistoric times, especially to the Stone Age and the Copper Age. Whenever human beings create something, that act itself is an expression of art. Artistic traditions have been passed down from generation to generation through imitation and adaptation of earlier forms, and contemporary art continues to reflect and reinterpret those original artistic foundations.
In a world where parts of humanity's historical memory disappear every day, preserving monuments like this carries significance far beyond maintaining a building. Shah Bobo Jan Palace is not merely a structure made of brick, wood, and plaster. It is the memory of a nation. Perhaps the true secret behind the survival of this palace lies in its ability to continue telling Afghanistan's story. More than a century later, it still speaks to future generations about the country's history.
People are encouraged to visit the Islamic collections displayed here. In addition to Islamic artifacts, the museum also houses pre-Islamic collections, including coins from the Achaemenid, Greek, Kushan, and Sasanian periods. Visitors, especially school and university students, can become familiar with ancient cultures, the Islamic period, and the contemporary era.
داشته‌های فرهنگی خود حفظ کنند چون حفاظت از میراث.
People should preserve their cultural heritage because protecting cultural artifacts contributes to enriching the Ethnographic Research Museum. Individuals can donate their own historical objects to the museum, where they will be preserved properly according to professional standards, allowing future generations to appreciate them as valuable cultural treasures.
و در آینده نسل‌های آینده میتونه که من حیث یک آثار خوب ببینن.
به خاطر شناسایی فرهنگ خود، شناسایی اقوام مختلف افغانستان، اینا بیان از
To better understand their own culture and the diverse ethnic groups of Afghanistan, people should visit the Scientific and Research Ethnographic Museum and explore its collections. Here they can learn about the traditional tools, clothing, customs, jewelry, and lifestyles of Afghanistan's different communities, gaining a deeper appreciation of the country's ancient culture and the remarkable artistic heritage of its people.
فرهنگ بسیار قدیمی بوده و یک هنرهای بسیار خوب و زیبای خود مردم افغانستان دارد.